Travis Wayne Goodsell. Overslept, so I'm not able to get my necessary run. I hope I don't have a coughing fit. The air outside was green last night, so the mold must be the cause of the coughing fit this morning. There was a Michael Douglas Skews who commented on my old video, pre-research of LDS church history, the Return to Independence, Missouri video, which I tried to get out there and inform people that that was made because my second ex, who was my wife at the time, forced me to give her a date for the Exodus. And I was still trying to figure out the biblical method of prophesying using astronomy as dating. I'm gonna delete that one. Somebody's asking for an email. Today's the last day for my website. So you're not going to get in contact with me. And apparently I'm being kicked out without having a court hearing so that I can defend myself. On the old video, this Michael, who has a picture of a woman, maybe he's a transvestite, a queen, which would be strange because the person is clearly conservative Mormon. Conservative Mormons are anti-human. And so, yeah, you can already tell already Michael's on my bad side. Their comment on the other video was perfectly fine and acceptable, and I allowed it and such forth. It was something like, most Mormons will not be prepared. And Michael went on to say in that comment that unfortunately that seems to be the case. So Michael already has preconditions already set up in his or her mind about how things are supposed to go. And that's where he or he pisses me off on this one, when she linked over, he linked over to this channel with the updated version that I made. Now again, Mormons are abusive. They think that they are in the true church, and that they think that having been born and raised in the true church, that they know and know better than others. Now, I understand that myself, born and raised in the Mormon church. I know exactly what I'm speaking of. And so pay attention here as I destroy this person before I ban them from this channel. You are not the one that has been chosen to tell the people the date and time. So, Michael is the one who was chosen to tell me that I'm not the chosen one to tell of the date and time? Talking with my second ex, Karen, yesterday, I had to explain to her that Mormons currently understand prophets different than the understanding of prophets in the Book of Mormon. There are two different types of prophets. The current prophets that we have in our administration are not chosen. It's whoever is the president of the Quorum of the 12 becomes the successor to the death of the president of the church. And then as president of the church, and he makes us think that there's some kind of interview process where other prophets and apostles get to approve new recruits into the apostleship. And I have no reason to doubt their process. You want to make sure that you get somebody who everybody approves of and not get fooled as the president of the church. I understand that. But in the Book of Mormon, it's a different process. Those who are not administrative leaders are called and chosen by God because they're the ones who are listening to God. And so then they go and tell and warn their own church membership and, in many cases, their church leadership. Abinadi, right off the bat. And so what Michael's talking about is completely foreign and incorrect in regards to the Book of Mormon, which is the keystone of Mormon doctrine. They don't know how I was called and chosen to warn the world. Warn the world. The prophets haven't been warning anybody. They've been sending us to our deaths, which is why I have the new Dr. Death series that nobody wants to watch. And so then he goes on, don't slowly start falling away. So now Michael thinks that I'm going down the wrong path that leads to apostasy. Oh, Michael, have you gone down this path so that you have a knowledge that I'm going to go down this path? Already you've failed to follow the Book of Mormon. You see the blindness in Michael. Michael's the one who has fallen away. And they're projecting it onto me. Because Michael's not adhering to the Book of Mormon, which is the keystone of Mormon doctrine. Now I know it can be confusing because the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple is Lucifer's falling star. Falling away. Then Michael goes on with a little hyphen. The prophet will know when it is close. Yes. Yes, they do. Because if they're not the ones who are telling us, then what does that mean? If they know and they're not telling us to warn us, what does that mean? It means that they are the enemy. Not just a false prophet. They are purposely withholding information to destroy us. As a shepherd of the flock, he is purposely leading us to the wolves for slaughter. That's why I did the Dr. Death series. It's because the deaths are on Nelson's hands. And so Michael's still trying to pretend to care about me. He says, just be careful. This is an easy trap to fall into when it seems like everyone else is asleep. But you. So again, Michael, do you have experience with this? Because this is exactly what you're doing. You think I'm asleep, but you. Do you see how Mormon elitism traps them into deception? I like that. Mormon elitism traps them into deception. That may be my title, so I need to write it down. Otherwise I'll forget. No smirky little faces. Seriously? Many signs and wonders. Just don't go talking to the Tanners. No, I don't talk to the Tanners. I've read their stuff. I have Mormonism, Shadow and Reality. It's packed. And so, when there's an exodus, hopefully before I'm forced out, if you remember me talking about Exodus scenarios, the Lehi one's back on. The only problem is I'm not rich. So it's a variation of the mixture of Mulek and Lehi. And so, interesting how Michael is trying to warn me against the Tanners. If I know nothing about the Tanners, I'm going to say, Tanners? Who are the Tanners? I'm going to go searching online to find out who the Tanners are. The Tanners have lots of information and actual first-hand source records about the early church. Interesting. I want to learn more. So Michael just sent me to my apostate doom. Mormons do not understand that. If you're talking to people about a subject matter that you don't want them to know about, you don't reveal it. You don't talk about it. Also, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So you forgot to capitalize a number of words here. No more Mormon. Oh, right, because the analytical programs used on the internet have agreed with their investor, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to help the church destroy and censor any and all critical information about the church, such as truth. And so that anybody who types in Mormon or LDS will have a hard time finding things and will be redirected to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Thus why YouTube is making it very hard for you to find my videos. You are, with an extra space in there, yeah, no dash, just an extra space, entertaining. Oh yay, I'm entertaining. I'm kind of wondering whether you're a male or a female, though, because if you're a female calling yourself Michael Douglas Skews, which I'm thinking could be even a pseudonym. Is it pseudonym or alias? But let me Google Michael Douglas. it's not a girl. It's like an 80s glamour rock goth gore thing. It's a Halloween costume. Interesting. Because there's the picture on the images for Michael Douglas Skews. And there he is, Mr. Abusive himself. I'm seeing a lot of skin on that t-shirt, Michael. Are you sure you're wearing your magic underwear? Huh. So he's got SoundCloud stuff with the guitar. Interesting. Okay. Well, you're still getting banned. And I'm halfway through the comment here, so bear with me. A little too much astrology. Oh, so you know about astrology to know that I'm doing it? Are you sure I'm doing astrology? I did a video here on this channel, which apparently Michael never saw, identifying the difference between astrology and the ancient practice of astronomy. There is a big difference. Astrology is the method of mass control. China uses it for newborn babies. When a newborn baby is born, they're born under an astrological sign in the heaven. And that sign is used to conform the baby so that the parents will raise the baby according to the sign and teach the baby about their sign when they get older, such that you are not allowed to have certain friends of other types of astrological signs. You have to hate them. You have to shun them. You have to stay away from them. That's astrology. They tell you how to live your life, and you cannot vary from it, because they've placed you in the psychological category box. And they keep repeating it to you over and over again, telling you that that's who you are, and that's who you must be. And you can't go away from it. You know, in psychiatry, when they tell you you have a categorical mental illness that they've placed you in, they not only repeat it over and over again, but when you say, I don't think I'm that diagnosis, are you sure? They'll say, well, you know, because you're in denial, that confirms that you have that mental illness. That's a fallacy argument that they use to get you to conform and to comply to their categorization system. And a Mormon created that, by the way. Stanley Smith Stevens. Died in 73, I believe. It's called dichotomy and non-dichotomy categorization. Knowing a little and then making a little video. I saw on my other channel, as I was looking at the new channel, I have over 1,400 videos. A little video, huh? You are target. For you? Egyptus, forbidden. Oh, throw in the racism. Yeah, but I'm not black. It doesn't really say that Egyptus is black. It's the wife and daughter of Ham, using the Latin Egyptus form rather than the Greek form. And interesting how Egyptologists say, oh, you can't use Latin in your translation of Egyptian. Really? So we can't use Egyptian, we have to use French? We have to use, you know, people come up with the dumbest things. They knew enough to start a false priesthood. Who? Egyptus? The Egyptians? Uh-oh. Are you sure? it wasn't a false priesthood if you reread your Book of Abraham. It's just that they are assumed not to have the authority. What is interesting is that the lack of authority is a result of whatever happened to Ham because of what Canaan got cursed for. And so the blood of the Canaanites continues with the Egyptians as the pharaohs have to marry their sisters. And people miss that accurate Egyptian historical fact that Joseph is correct about. But Ham, according to the story, only had three sons, and those 3 sons all have the Melchizedek priesthood. They all get different areas. Ham gets the Turkey, Eurasia area. Shem gets Babylon, which, wow, Babylon? Seriously? You're cursing Shem, and you're wanting him to be the one of whom Abraham comes from, but then you screw up Ham's genealogy by having Nimrod being the successor to the throne of Egypt, and yet he goes into Assyria to take over there? Wait a minute. Ham was supposed to be the servant of Shem, not the other way around. So yeah, there's some confusion in the Bible, and Joseph Smith does clear up a lot of it by saying that Abraham's from Egypt, not from Mesopotamia. Mormons miss that. Apologists for the church miss that. But I'm straying off onto my Egyptian knowledge. How dare I? But all 3 were the Melchizedeks, the great kings and great high priests, for their tribes in those lands. So all of them had the right to the priesthood. But Joseph is saying that some incident occurred, and he sort of gets into it. You have to pay close attention, and pay very close attention, and include the Bible with it. Because what seems to have happened is that Canaan had sex with his sister, thus preserving the royal blood in the family, and that Ham was supposed to separate them and failed in that responsibility, and therefore was held accountable for the sexual behavior of Canaan with his sister Egyptus, and thus was denied the authority of the priesthood. Joseph does not really get into explaining that explicitly. He sort of hems and haws and says one thing in one area, then says another thing in another area, and then you have to combine the two together and then combine it with the Bible to fully understand what it was, instead of Ham seeing his father naked and then having Canaan cursed for Ham just seeing his father naked, as his father was drunk in a tent after the first harvest. Which fermentation, I understand, takes a while after, so was longer than the first harvest immediately after. So anyway, they're all, never mind. And so he makes the mistake of thinking that Ham is denied the authority of the priesthood because of his marriage to Egyptus, whose son what? Typing error there. Just go read some Nibley. Now, while I packed up Nibley as well, Nibley is worthless. Don't read Nibley. He'll ramble on a whole bunch of stuff, throw out big words, and think that, lead Mormons to think that, oh wow, he's the best we have, this is awesome, church is so true. What did he say? I don't know, he's so smart. No, he's not. He's as dumb as a brick. I can't believe Farms embraced his writings. It's just unbelievable. The church was so merciful to him to let him work into his old age. That's a oh dear God. Nibley is the one whom David O. McKay went to say, help us, we're not translators. Can you figure this out to save the church? Sorry for my smirking. When the Metropolitan Museum of Art found the papyri and gave it to the church through an arrangement, because the prophets are supposed to be translators. He says, the prophet will know. Yeah, no, they don't. They have demonstrated time and time again they don't know anything. They don't have any keys. There has been nothing from them. No warnings of the latter days. No translations of new scripture that have been springing up all over the world. We're supposed to get that scripture. They're supposed to know how to decipher and translate it, and they don't. They've failed. I've talked about R.C. Webb, who had to bail the church out, sort of. He was uncovered as wrong, but he had some fun stuff, put in some fun pictures, and it was entertaining and enjoyable, but wrong. He tried to save the church, because that's what he did for a living, is find a losing cause and attempt to try to defend it by pretending to have knowledge on the subject matter. But anyway, if you get caught up in false signs, really, the Bible and scriptural latter-day signs are false signs? Really? Wow. See, that's what Mormons are not comprehending. And I finally think I got through to Karen yesterday, because she couldn't comprehend how to turn the word into fruit. Because I was trying to say, the scriptural analogy is we will liken the word unto a seed, from Alma chapter 32 starting verse 28, and so the fulfillment, faith without works is dead, seed without fruit is dead. But she couldn't understand that. She's never been a gardener or a farmer in her life. She's never planted anything, so she doesn't understand how to turn the word into reality. And so she said, oh, is it like instructions for making a cake? Bingo. There you go. And so I then used that over and over again for her. So the word is like a recipe, and it is up to us to turn that recipe into a cake. Now, the recipe itself is not the ingredients. You have to find the ingredients and assemble them together as instructed on the recipe. And then if you follow the recipe 100%, you don't leave something out. You don't think that you know better and ad lib. You have to actually have lots of experience on cooking to then create your own recipes in order for you to do that. But in the beginning, no, you don't want to do that right away because you'll have lots of failures. And if you do that, you will find out with the finished product, the finished cake, as to whether the recipe was good or bad. That's how the Mormon concept of faith works. It is science-based. And Michael fails to understand this. The scriptures are the word. They tell us the signs in the heavens to look for. I looked for them because I'm obedient. Michael's not obedient. He's waiting for the prophet to compel him in all things, rather than being prepared, as in the parable of the 10 virgins. Like he said in the other comment that I accepted, the majority of Mormons are not prepared. Michael is one of them because he's waiting for the prophet to tell him all things that he should do and believe in. And they haven't. The signs in the heavens are astronomical dates. They're science-based. That's how we get our calendar. That's how we get our clocks, is from the movements of the celestial bodies. And so they're telling us that signs in the heavens are going to have the sun and the moon and stars in certain places. They're telling us a date. And we don't need a prophet to tell us. All you need in our modern day and age is a stellarium program. Stellarium.org. I emphasize org because com is a virus. Go to org, stellarium.org. And you can look on his website if you don't have a computer system that will allow you to download either his 32-bit or 64-bit, or is it 62 and 34? No, it has to be 32 and 64 because it's double, yeah. But it's awesome. I can see into the past, I can see the current, I can see into the future. I can see into the daytime. It's awesome. I am a seer. Stellarium.org gave me the key to being a seer. It's awesome. And as a result of my Mormon understanding of Scripture, I'm able to be a revelator and reveal the signs of the Bible, just like the prophet Samuel the Lamanite, who was not the leader of the Nephites. He was not the prophet of the Nephites. He was just a regular member, not even living in the capital city of Zarahemla. He was from south. He was a Lamanite. And yet it was up to him to tell the capital city Nephites about signs that were to come. Mormons do not know their Book of Mormon. And so he's saying that I'm going to get lost. Michael, you're waiting for a prophet who's caused you to be lost. And so then he does the, please no more singing. Oh, there's the abuse. Bleep you. And Mormon, the prophet, would be the first to tell you to watch where you are going and stop looking at the stars. Really? So you're putting yourself into the mind of a fictional character to tell me that he would say such and such about such and such. That's another fallacy argument. You can't place yourself in the mind of another person and tell such other people that such a person would act and think and do differently, or a certain way. You can't do that. You can only tell what other people have done in a similar circumstance. You cannot tell people what they would do if such a circumstance were to be presented with them. So Mormons often make this mistake, as other Christians do, that what would Jesus do? If it's not specifically mentioned in Scripture, you can't use the argument. You can't use the argument of what would Jesus do about listening to Metallica. We won't go the other way. But I was thinking of, that Metallica wasn't around for Jesus. So you can't say, what would Jesus think about Metallica? I hope that's simple enough to understand. It's an incorrect argument. It's a useless argument. It has no substance to it. So that's what Michael has done. Oh, man. So, yeah, Mormon elitism traps Mormons into deception as you are being led to the slaughter. I know this because I've produced the cake from scriptural prophecy. And so I know that President Nelson is a false prophet who is not only leading Mormons astray with his idol god, Jesus, on top of the church. Seriously? And you Mormons have fallen for that? But he is also leading you to your deaths with this coronavirus. As he's a medical doctor, what would Moses do during a coronavirus? That is an appropriate question to ask, because Moses had a coronavirus, and he did something during that coronavirus. What did Moses do? Moses said, go home, stay home until it passes over. That's where we get the Passover from the Jews. So, is Nelson following the scriptures during a similar biblical event in our day? No, he's not. He failed us to be the man like Moses. That's another video topic. To follow scriptural examples. Moses. What would Moses do? Okay. I don't know if I'll get to that. We'll see. So, yeah. You're banned from this channel, Michael. You are now gone. But 40 minutes, nobody's listening. That's the trap of Mormon elitism. And I know all about it because I was born and raised Mormon elitist. That's why I have an attitude. But I've learned to turn the attitude against the church. Because what the church is teaching us as Mormons is wrong. And it's leading us astray, and it's causing harm. So it looks like I need to go back to having you up.